Back to having stream problems again. So yeah, I'm almost done with this stream either way, but um, it did briefly. It the software didn't crash, but the stream itself like completely shut off and then came back, and I'm frozen again, which means there's a good chance it's going to happen again. Okay. Hopefully we're good for now. Um, so yeah, I get that the Lucha Bros and Young Bucks and stuff like that are like these exciting tag teams to watch, and they are, and they're really good and talented. But when the majority of their offense not only has like is all double team moves, and the majority of their offense like is like because it's all these double team moves, the refs, as I mentioned before, don't do their job and like do the 10 counts and stuff like that, and it ends up being like 5.5 minutes of double team moves with the referee making no effort to control the action in any way, shape, or form. That's a little off-putting to me because to me it goes against the AEW, what AEW is trying to go for, right? AEW is trying to be like a be taken seriously as a wrestling promotion where you know where wins and losses matter, right? They keep records and rankings and stuff like that, right? And that's a great idea, but it kind of doesn't mean shit if the rest of everything else comes off looking like a joke when the refs don't do their jobs and count people. So, I mean, that in my opinion is their biggest glaring issue. Um, I don't like that. I also am not a fan of the fact that um, that the actual EVPs, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Cody Rhodes, are essentially all heels now because it's well known that they're all executive vice presidents and that they have a lot of pull in the company. And so there's no one to counterbalance that unless Tony Khan's going to become an on-screen character permanently, which he says he doesn't really want to do because again, they want to get away from that whole gimmicky boss thing. But it's like you can't have the top guy, you can't have the EVPs all being active wrestlers who are all bad guys and all are essentially abusing their positions in the company, for lack of a better term, I guess. I mean, it's not too bad. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I know it's not to that extent yet. Overall, it's fine at the moment, but I could see it becoming a problem. And then my other big issue with AEW is the double tunnel stuff for the entrances. Um, Now, in one sense, the double tunnel makes sense, right? Because if you got two guys that absolutely hate each other, they're going to have a match. it would make sense that you'd have them like, okay, you go to entrance 1, you go to entrance 2, that way they're apart from each other theoretically. It's the one thing that doesn't make sense in other wrestling promotions where it's like, well, we know how much Edge and Seth Rollins hate each other, for example, but they come out of the same curtain area, which means they had to both be theoretically in that same gorilla position to come out. But then you got in AEW, you got the separate tunnels. So from that perspective, it makes sense. The problem is like they use one only for good guys and they use one only for bad guys. And so even when two good guys are fighting each other, they both come out of the same tunnel. Or if two bad guys, like for example, before they started having Lance Archer come out of the good guy tunnel, he was feuding with Eddie Kingston, and they were both coming out of the heel tunnel, but apparently they couldn't stand each other. So why are they both coming out of the same side? If it wasn't one designated as face and one designated as heel, the way it is, and it was just like, hey, the first guy always comes out of entrance number 1, and the second guy always comes out of entrance number 2, and they mixed it up once in a while, good guys and bad guys, where there was no consistency, then it would be fine. But they don't. The other problem with it is, and this goes back to the last pay-per-view. So Kenny Omega cuts the big promo, says like, nobody can beat me. The only people who can are this, that, or whatever. The lights go out and Adam Cole's music hits. And they play up this whole thing when Adam Cole gets in the ring, like he's there to fight Kenny Omega. But then, of course, he helps the Elite. But there should have been there's no doubt in anyone's mind that that's why it is. And not because of their past and history and so forth. He very well could have come in as a face and been the next big feud for Kenny Omega. But he came out of the heel tunnel. The same tunnel that Kenny Omega came out of. So at that point, you've just ruined it. And that's the thing. They ruin some of these things. There's like, they do this big entrance like, oh my god, Adam Cole's here. Maybe he's looking to get revenge on the people that like turned their back on him when he signed with WWE, right? Like that's the story they could have gone with for all intents and purposes. But because he came out of the heel tunnel, there was no surprise. There was no surprise on whose side he was on. None. Now, if they wanted to shock everybody, they could have had him come out of the heel tunnel, hug Kenny Omega, and then super kick him. That would have worked. But otherwise, again, it's like, it makes no sense. And I mean, and yeah, those are probably my 3 biggest issues with AEW that I think they need to change and or fix. Dean Ambrose wasn't a big fan of Dean Ambrose in WWE before he joined AEW. He's gone on the record and been quite clear about that. And I agree. Like, it didn't make sense. He said he basically got turned off more or less. I mean, he wasn't overly happy, he said, to begin with, but he said the thing that kind of put it over the top for him was the having him turn on Seth the same night that Roman had said had to leave because of his leukemia coming back. And it was like, yeah, that was a little weird. Like, and I mean, it's again, that might have always been planned, whether Roman had left or not, had to leave or not. So it could just be piss poor timing. But I don't know. I think they could have delayed it or put it off for a couple weeks longer before having him double cross Seth Rollins. But what do I know? Overall, I've always liked Dean Ambrose. I thought he was really good. So I do like that he gets used. Excuse me. I do like that he gets used properly in AEW, though. So I am sad that that there will never be another, even if it's a one-off Shield reunion thing. At least not anytime soon. But it is what it is. I think that's how a lot of wrestlers feel these days. A lot more are choosing AEW over WWE, and a lot of them have that choice. Um, and it's not a bad choice if that's what you want to do. I don't fault anybody that's made that decision. I mean, AEW's got a lot of good things going for it right now. I would say probably there is probably one other issue I have with AEW though. I do think their roster is getting a little too ridiculously big. Um, I think I'd almost borderline say it's getting out of hand. Um, but I don't know. Like it's tough. Like it's tough to ignore good talent though when they're available. So like, but there's a like their roster is absolutely freaking huge. Like I think it's what did I read the other day? It's like twice the size of WWE's roster, and WWE's got their roster split among 4 shows. And AEW, like although they have 4 shows too, if you include the 2 YouTube shows, it's not a roster split. Some guys show up on every show. Yeah, I would say it's almost too much star power. Like again, I don't blame them for going after CM Punk. It makes perfect sense to go after CM Punk. We know for a fact that the WWE also tried to get CM Punk back around the same time, but obviously too much bad blood. Um, I'm sure if WWE could have kept Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole, they probably would have, but I think those guys had made up their minds and so forth. And again, you can't blame AEW for wanting to sign these guys because these are still top stars and so forth. Um, and it's going to keep bringing more eyes to the promotion, right? So I understand why AEW is going after all these people, um, but I think they need to come up with a strategy. And I don't know if that means doing brand splits as well, like the WWE does, um, where like whatever. But like, I'll give you the best example I can give you, and I understand that CM Punk is the big thing right now, but CM Punk appears on every episode of Dynamite and every episode of Rampage, whether it's to wrestle a match or whether it's to cut a promo or be on commentary or something like that. Um, and my question to that is why? Why does he have to be on every single show? Because like he sits there and says, "Oh, you guys still aren't tired of me yet," and no, they're not, because it is still fairly new, but they're gonna get tired of it if they don't space out his appearances more. Um, Interesting. Uh, what the fuck? I'm not sure if I'm still. I think I'm still streaming. That was weird. That has never happened before. I'm not sure if I'm still. Okay. Well, yeah, the video stopped because um apparently all my USB connections disconnected. My headset's not USB though, but everything else is connected through USB and supposedly disconnected. Now, supposedly it's reconnected, but nothing came back on. Which is really, really weird. Huh. There you go. I got that back, at least, but I can't get the camera back. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to get the camera to come back. Actually, I know one way I can probably do it. There we go. But of course, then everything freezes immediately again. Okay. That was really, really fucking weird. Good thing this stream's pretty much over. Because I don't know what else. But yeah, anyways, I don't remember what I was saying before that. But yeah, like I think they need to spread out CM Punk's airtime a little bit. I can honestly say I've never seen his YouTube channel. But what I do like about AEW, some of the stuff I really do like about AEW, obviously, is I love the fact that some of these guys that are in AEW, like Sammy Guevara, have never been big stars until AEW. Like a lot of these, like you can look at CM Punk and you can look at Cody Rhodes and you can look at Chris Jericho, obviously Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, and so forth. And these guys had been big names in WWE before. But then you got a guy like Sammy Guevara, who, truthfully, I'd never heard of before AEW. I knew who Kenny Omega was, but now he's getting to like show his talent on a big stage, like that the whole world sees, as opposed to just like niche markets and locations. You've got guys like Hangman Adam Page. Like honestly, the dude's probably the most over guy in the entire promotion. And again, I had barely heard of him before AEW. I'd heard the name, but was not familiar with the wrestler. And even the stuff I had heard about him didn't scream top face of the company, right? This guy's going to be the next big thing. Yeah, and now like honestly, like I don't think the crowd pops louder on a regular basis than when Adam Cole comes out, or not Adam Cole, Adam Page. Sorry. I mean, there's probably guys that have gotten louder pops, but consistently loud pops, it's Hangman Adam Page, and it makes sense because he's good. Like he's really fucking good. And I am really digging. Um, I'm really digging the slow build up to him and Kenny for the title. Um, so yeah, there's honestly like stuff like that. That's huge. Like, because again, I don't think prior to AEW, I don't think WWE would have ever went knocking on his door looking for him. But after AEW, if he ever leaves AEW, not that I think he will, but like if he ever did, WWE would throw money at him now. So, I mean, there's definitely good stuff going on in AEW. It is quite amazing how big it's gotten. It does really remind me of the old Monday Night Wars again, even though none of the shows technically go head to head ever. Um, what day did I end off on? The 28th. Okay, I couldn't remember what the last day was I played, and I realized I shut it down already. Um, yeah, no, honestly, I didn't think that AEW would be enough to make me say I don't really care about WWE anymore, but that's exactly what's happened. I mean, I don't really care that much about WWE anymore. There's definitely stuff I do still enjoy about WWE. There's definitely people I still enjoy seeing in WWE. Um, but overall, I'd say AEW is definitely the far superior product right now, and that might change again in the future. And it is what it is. But anywho, so I streamed for a lot longer tonight than I intended to. Yes, yeah, yeah, we do sell AEW figures. Whereabouts are you located? I can't remember if you told me or not. You're in Florida, okay. Um, yeah, so even in Canada, we've started carrying the AEW figures as well, and it's really surprising to be honest. We didn't think it would be something we were carrying. They kind of came out of nowhere, um, and they're selling extremely well. So yeah, we're quite happy to have them, and hopefully it's starting to get a little bit better. We're starting to get a little bit more heads up notice, but whether we're going to have proper pre-orders and stuff like that, don't know. But it's still pretty cool nonetheless that we have them. Can't keep them on the shelf. Like they come in and they're gone almost instantly. I have more custom. Like my biggest selling toy line in my store has always been like the Marvel Legends and the Star Wars Black Series. I have more people asking about AEW figures than I do both of those lines combined now. So if I can get it going to a situation similar to Marvel Legends and Black Series uh, with pre-order business and stuff like that, there's no stop in my store. But we'll see what happens, I guess. Anywho, I think it is time to wrap up this stream. This shit show of a stream that, crashed on me about 3 times, and probably more than that. I lost count, to be honest. They probably will eventually, because technically, because they did do, they were Hot Topic exclusives, but they did Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, and Cody Rhodes before AEW was formed. I have a feeling they probably will get Funkos eventually. There's probably something holding it up at the. Well, no, it's fine. I understand. But yeah, I think they will get Funkos eventually. I think it's going to take a while still, but I think they'll get them eventually. But yeah, either way, I'm going to wrap her up. Thanks for joining again, and thanks to anyone else who joined in this stream earlier. Again, this shit show of a stream. I don't know. I'm gonna have to pick Chris's brain. Figure this crap out. But anyways, hope you guys all have a good night. There might be a stream again tomorrow. Probably not, but you never know. I might do something different though. I might even just stream directly through an Xbox or a PlayStation, which means no fancy overlays or anything like that. Just to make sure that it's more equipment than internet issues, I guess. But yeah. Anyways, have a good night, everyone, and hopefully we will see you again next time. Good night.